Senior Gaming Executive Andy Choy, thank you very much for sitting down with us here at Asia Gaming Brief at the ASEAN Gaming Summit. We just heard a little bit about what is happening within the Asian gaming market, but I want to talk a little bit more about Macau specifically. So we've seen a major return to growth. January and February GGR revenues were even higher than expectations. We're expecting the first quarter is going to be quite good as well. What do you think is the future for Macau gaming?
I think Macau gaming is very bright future ahead of it. Right? In fact, I think there's three reasons. The first of which is obviously with China moving to a no COVID policy where things are opening up, you have all that pent up demand within China, can only be good things for Macau. Secondly, I think Macau has built up critical mass of infrastructure, not just gaming, but even on the non-gaming side, that can support a multi-day visit to the market. There's a lot of great stuff for consumers and leisure travelers to come check out. Right? And the third thing is the commitment to non-gaming events that each of the concessionaires has agreed to as part of the license renewal. Very excited to see what everyone does, all the innovation in non-gaming amenities and events in the next few months and years. And so in general, I think the future looks very, very, very good for Macau.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, 14.8 billion, I think, was the combined collective investment that they have to do. Some 91% of that is non-gaming. Which one of those operators do you see as best positioned to be able to take advantage of their non-gaming offerings?
The two that stand out to me really are Galaxy and Las Vegas Sands, critically because they have sufficient scale, both in terms of hotel capacity as well as amenities. Galaxy Phase 3 and 4 are coming online with the largest arena in Macau. That's
16,000 seats.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And LVS with all their infrastructure, with the Londoner, now that people can actually come and visit and see. I think there's a lot of positive things going on with both Galaxy and LVS.
Well, and I mean, especially coming off such a difficult period, basically 3 years of pretty much being closed down, Macau has been strongly profiting from the opening up of China again. But that's also been really good news for Asia in general, having the return of Chinese punters to Asian casino properties. Which one of these countries within Asia is now better positioned to be able to welcome back those visitors?
In general, I really am bullish on the Philippines here, where we're at today.
Here in Manila?
Here in Manila. And specifically because of two things. The first of which is I keep coming back to critical mass being a big component for driving growth. Right? You saw that in Las Vegas in the late 80s, 90s into the early 2000s, where you had supply-driven growth. Right? Where every competitor coming into the market, every new property opening just added to the offering and became a must-see attraction, right? And another reason for somebody to either come to the market for the first time or come back to the market. And I really see that going on here in Manila. Right? Secondly, as far as proximity goes, the market here in the Philippines is very easily accessible from China and different regions in China. I think it has a lot to offer.
Now, it was interesting to see during the pandemic period, we've got the results from 2022 as well. There was a shift from the major pandemic and shutdown time where domestic demand was primarily the income source for the casinos here in the Philippines. But then as things opened up a bit more, we did see a return of VIP play. Do you think that that's going to continue to be a strong component in the Philippines going forward?
I believe that going forward, VIP play here in the Philippines will be a component, but I don't know that it's going to be a very strong component. I think in general, with the evolution of gaming in Asia, it's going to move more towards mass, inevitably. And I believe that ultimately this is a good development. It's a healthier customer for the industry. Right? It takes a lot of the perceived negative aspects of the industry and kind of sidesteps a lot of those. And ultimately, it is more profitable for the operators, right? You don't have that middleman that you're dealing with in the junket, which oftentimes takes the lion's share of the profitability from those high-end players.
But that also, I mean, the VIP player can still be involved in VIP Direct. It doesn't necessarily have to go through junkets.
That's right. And in fact, if a player comes in direct versus going through the junket, the profitability skyrockets. Right? Sometimes, 5 to 10 times more profitable as they come direct. And ultimately, if the operators can capture just a small portion of that customer base that was coming through a junket, net, they'll be better off with that.
Well, we hope to see continued growth within Macau, within the Philippines, and throughout Asia. Looking at growth markets, just as one last question here, what would be one of the primary growth markets that you're looking at now?
I think when you're talking about growth markets, there's really two different ways to look at it. The first of which is where the legislation is passed and you're actually operating. The second are potential new entrants to the market. Right? So starting from places where there are actual operations, we touched upon the Philippines briefly as an area that I think is growing and will continue to grow. Other jurisdictions are Vietnam, right, where they have the pilots for the locals gaming, which had mixed results, especially because it was essentially during the pandemic. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in that market. As far as emerging markets, the obvious one is Japan, that we've been talking about for a little while.
A long while.
Hopefully there's some momentum there. And some other potentials like Thailand, right, I think can't be ignored. And interesting to see if they actually move forward with their casino offerings.
Well, the multi-billion-dollar questions, hopefully we'll be back to explore those even more with you in the future as we see more developments in Asia. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.